in replay mode. It's been a while. Oh my goodness. And it's just wild how life, takes off, etc. So we are super excited to join you today. We're hoping to tap on some new features we're seeing, but also maybe talk a little bit about some holiday marketing and how you can capture the story of what you're trying to show up on social media about, but in the lens of holiday. And so I'm excited to be joined finally with Stephanie. I feel like it's been like years, but I mean, it's been a couple months now, I guess.
It
She's been
feels like
off
it
on
for sure.
adventures, and I would love to hear about the adventures, anything you want to share. My name is Elizabeth Doss. I'm social media content creator and consultant, and I also help people with animated GIFs to use across social. So anyway, I will hand things over to you, Steph, to tell us about where you've been, what you're doing, and what you're working on, and all the things as we get started today.
Well, listen, first of all, hi, Elizabeth. It's the first time seeing
Right.
faces in a while. And, as you said, I think we're both doing adventurous things. We're both having fun on the personal side, on the professional side, doing a little bit of juggling, which is, the life of an entrepreneur, a small business owner. And at the same time, leaning into stuff that really fuels me and excites me and reminds me why I do what I do, at the basis of, and yes, I am the strategist, the founder of Take Roots Consulting. I like to say I'm a brand architect and really working on and leaning into marketing strategies for organizations large and small. And then of course that range when you've been doing this thing, right, and in the game for well over a couple of decades, start to take a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And so people hear me often talk about whether it's events that we're producing, strategies that we're putting together, building up that confidence to come on camera, to just be you and show up and continue to tell those stories and inspire people, and also share some of those tips and tricks that we've learned across the, along the way, pardon me, so that it maybe inspires other people to not take everything so seriously. We have to have some fun. And of course, I hear our good friend Richard in my head, like, don't be boring, right? Nobody wants social media to be boring. We play on, and we scroll through. We spend so much time doing that. It's like, okay, here, like, let's talk through some things. And fail fast is what Richard, I just heard him say it again on another podcast. And it's so true. It's this notion of, guys, you need to be willing to take the risk to try. Fail is not bad. Fail is lessons learned. And taking those lessons and applying them, pardon me, to the next thing, whatever that thing might be for you. And for us, this thing right now seems to be that the holidays are fastly approaching, and maybe some people haven't been thinking about marketing campaigns as it relates to the holidays, or maybe they're so set and ready to roll and they've got their Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and every 12 days of Christmas that they want, as well as a year in review. So there's lots of things to talk about today, but it's really just breaking it down into bite-sized pieces to hopefully just allow people to get out of their own way. And oftentimes, Elizabeth, I'm certainly guilty of it. We get busy. We get busy in the business, and then we say we don't have time to do the other things. Well, it's time to start delegating. It's time to start feeling like, hey, I'm in this last quarter. I'm in this last push of 2025. What are those goals that I have yet to hit? What are some of the goals that I'm already thinking about for 2026? It's not too early to start thinking about what's next and leaning into that wholeheartedly. So that's a long way to say, hi, we're back. If you have questions, comments, feel free to drop it in to the chat. We'll start sharing some of our own thoughts, and not even in preparation, it just serendipitous, I guess. I'd already been thinking about what's a carousel that I can put together with some marketing tips. And so I am going to post that later today over on my Instagram page. By all means, I will drop the link to that post here once it's up and live, so that anybody on LinkedIn can go over and check it out as well. So all of that sets the stage for a very large conversation wherever we want to take it first, Elizabeth. So right now, when you're thinking about the holidays because of what you do and customized gifts and bringing that joy. What have you been working on for some of your clients, and how are you leaning in from the holiday side of things, as there are countdowns and other things that we can jump on?
Exactly, exactly. So for me, um, something that I try to work with clients and with people that I'm just trying to encourage to get out there and post, sometimes we get super generic and all of a sudden we're like just becoming the cheesy greeting card on the white noise of showing up with just like I Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving, which I know Canada's already had their Thanksgiving. Ours is next week. So, um, but this idea of how do how do you make it interesting, or not interesting, but how do you speak to your community in holidays like this, or etc. And so one project that I do is I guess I should have worked to get it. Actually, yeah, I'm going to pause on that because I'm going to pull up my graphic, see if we can get that working, because then I can explain myself a little bit better on that side of things. But what am I doing with my clients right now? We're thinking about their industry and how can we frame their product or service through a lens or a filter of the holidays that are coming. And so how can you kind of splice that out and dig into it a little bit? But I do create animated greeting cards for my clients to use in emails and then text messages, as well as in other um, pursuits. So whether it's in gifts, so people can actually text them or DM them to their friends and family. Like I had a client, she was a realtor, and she still is a realtor in Birmingham, Alabama. And we made like a little package of holiday gifts. So she was set for the next several months to be able to shoot off the Happy Halloween, Happy Thanksgiving, Happy or Merry Christmas, just general Happy Holidays one, and then the Happy New Year one. And so, and then I think we did a Valentine's Day one too, as well. And so she had these little greetings that she could, it was a touch point with all of the clients that were already on her list, to be able just to send that little bit of a greeting, remind them, hey, I'm still here whenever you're thinking about selling, or maybe your family's looking to move to your area, remember me and I'll help you find the perfect house, etc. Anyway, so it's just those little touch points throughout the season. So Steph, I would love to hear some of what you are digging into in this realm.
Yeah, you know what? I wanted to try and break it down because we know that there are product based businesses, there's service based businesses. And so how can they think through to take advantage of what they already have? Now, creating new stuff for the holidays, obviously that takes some time. And so if you haven't done it yet, but there might be some digital products that a service-based business can create and be able to push out into, even as a gift for their clients. It's not necessarily to sell, but to add value back into the relationship, add value back into the business, remind people why they do business with you. So that is one of the approaches that I'm certainly leaning into and talking to, a few people about right now. And as I alluded to before, I was already preparing this little carousel approach to just get people excited again. And that for me really, let's break it down. I got a few things. I'm going to throw it over to you because I think it so nicely ties back to what you do, Elizabeth, in the world of gifts, because you taught me so much about how and when to use them, and whether they're custom. I mean, that's a bonus, guys. And obviously you want to work with Elizabeth if you're thinking about that stuff, because you don't really need to think about it. Let her do and create the magic. But whether it's customized initially or not, inserting or creating, leveraging your newsletter, it's a big win. So when you think about your newsletter, turn that itself into a GIF. What do I mean by that? Well, share one thing that a client, somebody maybe isn't even a client yet, but is a potential client, could use today to again show value. So if you're a product based business, maybe it's a care tip, maybe it's a recipe, maybe it's a storytelling idea. Whereas if you're service based, maybe there's a checklist or some kind of a template that you can serve up and deliver to. And of course, embedding these types of things in your newsletter. We can get into, integrated marketing, but if it's embedded and they have to download, now you're able to, again, look at that lead generation. How many people? Who downloaded? Maybe you want to reach back out to them as the holidays approach. And so, really wanting to just start off quite simply. If you currently have a newsletter, how do you turn that into a gift for the holiday season? So, you might have an offer. If you're a product based business, you might have an exclusive discount. They may need to download or put their email in, etc. So, you're thinking about that funnel piece. And then the power of the follow through and the follow up, what you're doing on the back end. So a lot of the past conversations that we had over the years, Elizabeth, is around that lead generation. And when you are putting together those funnels, but also the follow-ups and really thinking through it. Now, does it need to be perfectly fleshed out right now? No, if you're starting from scratch, just start. You can even say to them, listen, super busy with the holidays, right? But wanted to put this one thing together that I think is going to help you do, and then fill in the blank, whatever that is. Is it a checklist on da 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 da? Is it a how to, a step by step to do something? And serve that up to your current community. Often we get wrapped up in this notion of we need to continue to grow our community, and we forget to serve the people that are already with us. So again, if you're thinking about giving back and adding value into those relationships, how can you do that in your own business? Thoughts, comments, where are you going to take us next, Elizabeth?
First, I'm going to unmute. No, in response to that, because email is a really fun way to reach out. And also when you, so I, because I talk about the animated GIF side of things, but you could repackage a giveaway or a product or something that you've had all along and just repackage it as the Christmas bonus for whatever. Hey, I wanted to give you this thing that has been in the back of the closet. It's the regifting of of the email world. But what I do love about that is, like, for instance, let's say you did a deep dive video podcast or whatever, but you made a new cover photo. Netflix does this all the time, by the way, and they get me. They sneak in there and they get me. They changed the cover of the movie photo, sometimes in the same day, and you think, wait, did I see that? Because the cover of the thing is completely different. And so you could take a piece of content, even if it's a reel that you created where you were offering value or whatever, but create an email. And something I like to tell my clients to do is you can create an animated GIF that is moves a little bit and has a play button on it, and you could put text on it that says, here's the one thing you need to do to make it through the holidays or whatever. But it could be something you posted in March about how to do a certain thing or how to, and so it doesn't have to be super holiday related. Anyway, but when you can hyperlink your link to that GIF or to that button that you've created, click here and you could have it blinking or whatever, but hyperlink the content or the landing page that you're wanting to take them to get that freebie or whatever, but you already have their email address. So anyway, I don't know, but it's just a way for you to send them someplace and have a piece of content that's already made that you can connect to. Okay, so I'm gonna jump into the stuff we're gonna play with. We haven't played with the new buttons on Riverside, so I'm
Love
gonna
it.
give it a shot. Let's see, I'm going to go to my screen and we'll go to a window. We'll go to this window. Let's see if it shares this.
It is sharing.
It is sharing. So I want to go back though and I'll have you on the side too, because then you can comment as well. Okay. Let me get into Canva and I'm going to present and let's see, Steph, if does it take it full screen now so you don't see the
It does.
sweet. Okay. So as we're talking about this is how often do you open your social apps and you know that you should post something, but you draw a complete blank? You're like, I don't know what to post. I want to
Mhm.
run you through this quick exercise to think about how you're approaching it in maybe a little bit of a different way. Some of this has come from inspiration from Richard, et cetera. So if you need somebody who can deep dive with you in this next little section, then please go to richardsolutions.com and let him help you with this. Because anyway, okay. Minding your business. A lot of times people think that they sell a certain product, but you need to start to think deeper about what you're actually selling. So, for instance, some examples for you here. I sell candles. I'm a photographer. I sell jewelry. I'm a coach. I'm an author. If you can start to think about your business in a different way, then you have an opportunity to tell different stories. And I'm headed towards the holidays, so don't think that I've forgotten us. But if you can go through here and say, no, instead of candles, I'm selling self care and relaxation. Instead of I'm a photographer, no, I capture moments. You sell jewelry? Nope, I'm building confidence so that when you put on your armor, you can show up with confidence. I'm a coach. No, you're transforming mindsets that people need upgraded. I'm an author. No, I'm a vessel for what's possible. So you could be a fiction or other types of writers, but you have this way of shaping people through the words that they read. So when you start, if you could start to do this exercise of digging in, what is it beyond the surface that I'm actually doing? So one way to kind of like think through this is mind mapping, which I love stuff, but if you put your product or your service in the middle, and maybe even this idea of I'm not selling candles, I'm selling self care and relaxation. You can start to map out what does that look like through the lens of these things. So if I'm selling candles, I could just say, "Hey, buy a candle to give as a gift for the holidays." Or I could think about the emotions attached to that, or to think through the self care and relaxation that people need during the holidays. And so you may have a mom that buys the candle for herself because she's been, and like you could do a reel or something where the wrapping paper's everywhere, the scissors, like you are glittered up and you're just done. You just want your eggnog and go to bed. But then it cuts to this candle and the bath and the privacy and the relaxation moment, and
The
that this
moment of
is
quiet.
exactly that moment of quiet. And how could you paint a picture in the context of the holidays for it? And so Thanksgiving, think of a hostess gift and being able to warm the home for the holidays or something like that. So thinking through the holidays on that side, thinking through life events and how people might use your product or service to celebrate those life events, like a first house. You could go through that lens of saying, I'm stuck with the candle thing stuff. Of it's usually cake pops, isn't it? But your first house of making your house feel like a home and bringing that warmth like to it. One of my other favorite ones, and I've touched on it obviously already, is pain points. When you think about the difficulties that your community is going through, that your product or service solves, how can you exaggerate those and even run them through the filter of a holiday situation? So if the elves are going crazy or the baking has gotten out of hand in the kitchen or you've burnt the dinner for the third time, if you're a restaurant you could say, I because I did a post for one of the restaurants I was working for that just said tired of leftovers, come see us, because after Thanksgiving you're eating on turkey for forever, so why not come and have something a little different. um last two things, and then I'll hand these things back to you, Steph, is kind of mapping out what are things that I have in common with my audience or my demographic. If you're a mom focused fitness thing, like, so you would have children and you would have exercise as something that's important. So what is that kind of Venn diagram? And not be afraid to lean into some of those specifics, because you might find that common ground, and it creates loyalty and trust with those people that experience like those same things too. And then also mapping out what are things that you could talk about all day. So for me, cats, I could talk about cats all day, but how could I run that through my brand or business? So if I'm doing animations, then I might do Christmas cats or Thanksgiving cats or something where I could tell like the story of the thing, but it's something that I could talk about all day. And so, how could you create? But this is a way for you to kind of fill up your tank or your uh, uh, bank with potential ideas and content for people to use. And I'm coming back over. I want to make sure I don't hit the wrong stop button, Steph, and kill this feed. Anyway, I'll hand it back to you.
Well done. Well done. And if I can, I'm just going to build off of the last piece that you shared and the thing that you can talk about all day. As Elizabeth said, in her case, it's cats. Like, look, she's literally branded in cats. The way to think about it as well is stuff that you can talk about all day that's always relevant. It's always relevant to your business is evergreen content. We refer to that term all the time. So in Elizabeth's world, evergreen content is all things cats. What is it for you? So that repurposing that you started off with, right? How do we repackage something that is useful, provides value, sneak peeks, how to, step by steps, checklists, templates, all of those things that will always be relevant in your business, in your industry, whatever that is, as around thought leadership. Sometimes there's ways to serve it up differently over the course of the year. And as we lead into the very busy holiday season, I love how you shaped and shared that mind mapping tool to fill the bank, to have that library of content to go to. And if you really want to free up some time as we're all busy doing a little bit of the juggle, well, then batch create. Don't be scared to batch create. This also doesn't mean, and I'm not saying that you need to show up every single day. Guilty over here. I've been kind of MIA on many platforms outside of LinkedIn for all good reasons, right? Literally all good reasons. And even taking a step away sometimes is okay, but then reintroduce yourself. Remind people who you are. Now we know that the algorithm will penalize when your account has been stagnant and you haven't put out a lot of new content. So slowly start to reintroduce. Don't start smashing through a whole bunch of content. It really doesn't help. And I'm not here to say that I've broken broken the algorithm, figured it all out. But what I'm saying is give yourself grace to navigate an already very busy time of year. And if there's certain things that allow you to give yourself and your team a little extra breath and space to also enjoy this time of year, then do those things. One of the other tips I wanted to share, because again, I can't believe how fast our time goes when we delve into this, but it's such a good conversation, is just using your voice. Use your voice to stand out. What do I mean by that? I mean, you can go live like we're doing right now, or you can record a short episode. You can, if you're a product based business, you can do a demo. You can do an Instagram story. You can do a customer fave. You can do an unboxing. You can do a boxing. But you can use your voice with video because we know how it performs so well across platforms to be able to show up that way. And then if you are a service business, what's that short lesson? What's that holiday survival tip? So, Elizabeth, in your case, you were talking about candles and how that candle and what that candle represents for me, and that calmness and that moment of quiet, whatever. But is that my holiday survival tip? It could be. But being able to use your voice, people are going on podcasts. How do we then repackage that up to serve to our community? So using your voice is super powerful. It doesn't need to be so polished. It doesn't need to be perfect. You don't need all the gadgets in the world. You can use your phone. You can use a clipped light on there to make sure that there's good lighting, because again, quality of the video is important. Right? They will push out, the good lighting one versus the one that's kind of semi dark. And I don't know who that is or what they're saying, but then have fun with that as well. If you're pushing it out onto a story, make sure that you're using captions, and always, where appropriate, lead them to the next thing you want them to do. Use a call to action. Use the features within the platforms already. And we've seen some new layouts on Instagram over the last week or so where you're finding the buttons to push and all of the clicks. So play around with it, but use captions, use the link feature. Do you want to drive them to sign up to your newsletter to get that exclusive discount? Do you want them to check out that full episode of a podcast that you've just been on that gives them 5 ways to do fill in the blank? Like, go ahead and use the features. You don't need to be a video editing queen or king. You just need to be able to play and have a little fun, because the stuff that feels real is going to resonate. It doesn't always need to be polished. And I think that people get nervous about, oh, I don't look my best or whatever. Well, sometimes, guys, disheveled works. It is real. It will resonate with the right people. It may push you out of your comfort zone. Fine. Be okay with kind of some of that stuff, because how many of us are sitting with 20 plus drafts because we just don't think it's good enough? But it might be that one piece of content that somebody in your community right now needs to see to take that next step. Over to you, Elizabeth.
Oh, I think that's fantastic too. And I am loving some of the other features that I'm seeing on Instagram. I know we talked about this months ago, but the repost feature is actually been a lot of fun, because I've always like wanted that space to be able to share content on Instagram without it just like going to my stories or whatever. And so I've been having a lot of fun, and you can repost your own content too, by the way. Like, you can fill up that section too. But what's really great is it will, I've been seeing when the content that my friends have been reposting, so they're not posting it like to their main feed, but when they repost it, it's showing up in my, like, when I'm scrolling through stuff. So I highly recommend doing that, and it's a great way to just to have activity on Instagram without you having to reinvent the wheel and create it. And same goes with remixing. That's still very much a thing. Like, you can still, let's say you find, specifically in the holiday side of stuff, if you find a funny reel or something that represents, that you can look at it through the lens of your product or service, and then just change out the POV, the point of view, over the top of it, and reshare that with your audience. So let's say you have a, of course, I'm stuck in cats now, Steph. You have a cat that knocked over the Christmas tree, and you could have you could run that through your filter of, let's see, what was one of the other ones that was on there. Let's say if you're a coach, or you know I'd say in the POV thing, saying, when you thought you had all your ducks in a row for this season, and then it just cuts to the cat just knocking over the whole tree and then just pushing the last ornament off the side of the table. And so how could you reframe it in that? So let's say a little kid falls down in the snow, and you can say, this is how, is this how Christmas shopping is going? Well, you're in luck. Here, you can come and buy these things that I've made for your people. Anyway, so how could you remix and use those ideas over? So use somebody else's content to be able to
I
do it.
listen, I did it yesterday.
Yeah.
Right? So guys, we all scroll. I used to be, Elizabeth, you're gonna laugh because I talk about this all the time. It's, well, first of all, lattes, yes. But just the notion of, I used to, way back before remix was even a thing, it'd be like I'd see a reel and I go, all right, I want to do something with that, or I want to create my version of that. And then I'd start the draft, right? And then I'd not go back to it, or I'd start it and it would still just sit in drafts. Well, now it's more like, okay, no, because of remix and that particular feature, I can act instantly, because clearly it created a feeling in me, or it made me think of an idea. Does it need to be super polished? No, I may not push it out right then in that moment, but it gets done, and it gets done faster because I don't need to start the piece of content. So to your very point, remix is a great tool that way. And I saw over the weekend Napoleon Dynamite. I mean, who doesn't love that? The whole section of the dancing. And then it was like, all right, this is a good one for caffeination, and this is a good one for a Monday, and this is a good one for, just fun, just make somebody smile. And that's exactly what happened, right? I took that one, remixed it, and put it up. It shows up, it's a piece of content on mine. I will also echo your thoughts around reposting. I love it. And I love it for a whole bunch of reasons. Also, a big fan of the fact that it doesn't mess up my feed, because I have a certain aesthetic that I like. The way Instagram has set it up is that the reposting all lives in one little area on repost. So if you go back, oh, I can hit the repost in my own on my own account and see the ones that I reposted, but it's served up to everybody that I'm connected to. So it's served up when you're scrolling, but it's not messing up my feed, and I really appreciate that. So dare I say, well, kudos to Instagram for thinking about that and being intentional with it, because we've seen some other stuff be beta tested and not really hang around for a while. This one's going to stay because it really mirrors what TikTok has been doing for years. And now they've finally brought something over into the Instagram world, or the Meta universe, that allows us to do a very similar thing without messing up the aesthetic of our own accounts.
Exactly. And I want to jump back on one. I know we're going to wrap up here in a second, but you were talking about how you saw that clip come through and you knew something was there. Now, Stephanie has honed her skills to think about, how can I bridge this into a conversation I would have on my page, or in my stories or whatever. So if you have a hard time reformatting this, but so there's a magic there that could happen, I highly recommend jumping over to ChatGPT or Grok or whoever you choose on the AI side and say, okay, I have this video of a cat knocking over a tree. How could I bridge that into selling houses, selling candles, or whatever? Think about pain points or commiseration, or what are common things that people deal with in the realm of this area that this could be a bridge to. And ChatGPT will come up with a bunch of them. And then you could say, now write it as a POV statement, like a point of view, like when you're just done with everything Christmas and the cat like knocks it over, or when you're just done, uh, when you need that extra bit of coffee and it's somebody like laid out in the snow because they just fell because they didn't have enough caffeine to stand up. But how could you bridge the content you're seeing as a metaphor for the feelings that your audience and the things that they're going through and the things you have in common? How can you bridge that? And you can use AI to help you find the humanity. I'm just kidding, in your stuff. But anyway, so make sure you're using those tools. Well, I want to say thank you all so much for joining us. And I want to say such special thanks to the Best Western Plus Lodge here in Somers, Montana, for letting me use their conference room for our meeting today. So if you're ever coming to Flathead Lake, which is one of the largest lakes to the west of the Mississippi. We've got the five greats on the other side, but this is one of the biggest ones. We were there, it's really quick stuff, the other day. And because, Glacier National is just up, she knows because she's been here. Glacier National Park is just up the hill, but the water here from the glacier is crystal clear and you can see down, and those jeweled stones, like you're like, no, that's not real. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, and even in the parking lot stuff here, like gravel in South Florida, where I grew up, has shells in it because that's what's there. Gravel in Montana has those jeweled stones. Like the whole parking lot is just these pretty turquoises and pinks and purples, and it's the wildest. I'm like, y'all make your even your gravel is prettier than ours. Anyway, so I just want to say thank you for joining us. Please join us next Tuesday if we're here. And
Well, we're trying to get back onto a regular schedule. And I think that that's where, again, if people have questions, comments, want us to try to break down a topic, let us know. Drop it in the comments. We love to be able to tackle these types of things because we hope that it adds value and makes your life maybe a little bit easier. Maybe you feel like you have a cheer squad, because we love to be cheerleaders in the community and give back and share some of those, again, lessons learned. You don't need to do this yourself. You are not alone. And if we can help you take that next step to building the confidence and helping you show up across all of those marketing channels, then tune in to Cultivate Weekly.